The night was quiet when the sky broke open with fire. Park Taiho was closing his small animal clinic when he saw it. A bright light falling from the stars, leaving a long tail of smoke and flame behind it. It crashed somewhere beyond the hills, far from the colony walls, and the ground shook under his feet. His daughter Yuna ran out from the back room. She was 23 years old, with sharp eyes and quick hands. She helped her father run the clinic ever since they came to this new world 5 years ago. "What was that?" she asked. "Something fell," Taiho said. He was already reaching for his emergency bag. Something big. The colony of New Bizon sat on the edge of a vast red plain on the planet called Eremos. Humans had come here after Earth became too crowded, too polluted, too broken. They built new homes among the stars. But they were not alone in the universe. The Velthari had been here first. Humans called them dragons because that was the closest word they had. The Velthari were massive reptilian creatures with scales that shone like jewels. They had wings that could carry them through the sky. They had fire in their bellies. And they had ruled 1,000 worlds before humans ever left their own planet. The Velthari did not like humans. They saw them as pests, insects, things that crawled across worlds that did not belong to them. There had been a war. Many people died on both sides. Now there was an uneasy peace, but the hatred remained. Taiho knew all of this. Everyone knew. But when dawn came and he followed the burned trail through the red grass, he did not think about war or hatred. He thought only about the sounds he heard. Strange sounds. Sad sounds. Something was crying. He found her in a crater of blackened earth. A Velthari mother. She was enormous, at least 15 meters long from nose to tail. Her scales had once been beautiful, shimmering between blue and green. Now they were cracked and covered in blood. Her wings were torn. Her body was broken in ways that Taiho could see meant death was coming soon. But she was not alone. Clutched against her chest, held gently between her massive claws, was a small creature. A cub, a baby dragon no bigger than a human child. Its scales were pale, almost white, and it was not moving. Taiho stopped walking. He knew he should run. He knew he should call the colony guards. A Velthari this close to human homes was dangerous. Even dying, she could kill him with one breath of fire. But he did not run, because the mother was looking at him. Her eyes were gold and ancient, and filled with something he recognized. He had seen that look before. He had seen it in the eyes of every mother who brought a sick child to his door. He had seen it in the eyes of animals who carried their wounded babies to him, trusting him to help. Fear, hope, desperation, love. The great dragon was crying. Tears rolled down her scaled face and fell to the burned ground. She made sounds that were not words, but Taiho understood them anyway. She was begging, pleading, and then she did something impossible. She lowered her head. A creature of an ancient and proud race, a being who saw humans as nothing more than clever animals, lowered her head to him. She pushed her dying cub toward him with gentle claws. "Please," she seemed to say without speaking. "Please help my child." Taiho stood frozen for a long moment. His heart was beating fast. His hands were shaking. He thought about the war. He thought about the stories of Velthari burning human colonies. He thought about all the reasons he should walk away. Then he thought about the oath he took when he became a doctor. First, do no harm. Help those who suffer. Heal the sick. He walked forward. The mother watched him come closer. She did not attack. She did not even move. She just watched with those golden eyes full of tears and hope. Taiho knelt beside the cub. It was badly hurt. He could see burns on its pale scales. He could see something worse too. Something inside it that was making it sick in ways burns could not explain. The cub was barely breathing. Its small hearts were beating too slow. "I will try," Taiho said to the mother. He did not know if she could understand his words, but he said them anyway. "I will try to save your child." The mother made a sound. It was soft and low and full of gratitude. She reached out with one massive claw and touched Taiho's shoulder. Gently, so gently that he barely felt it. Then her golden eyes closed. She took one more breath. Then she was still. Taiho knelt in the crater for a long time. The sun rose higher. The red grass swayed in the wind. And a human man sat beside a dead dragon, holding her baby in his arms, wondering what he had just promised to do. Yuna found him an hour later. She had followed his trail when he did not come home. She stopped at the edge of the crater, her eyes wide. "Father," she whispered. "What happened?" "She came to us," Taiho said. His voice was strange, even to his own ears. "She flew across the stars, dying to bring her child to us. To humans." He looked up at his daughter. "She trusted me. The colony will not like this. I know. The Valkyrie might come looking for it. I know. This could start another war." Taiho stood up slowly. The cub was light in his arms, lighter than it should be. It was fading. He could feel its life slipping away with each passing moment. "Maybe," he said, "but she asked for my help. She chose me, and I am a doctor." He started walking toward the colony. "I will not let her trust be wasted." Yuna watched. Her father carried the dragon cub through the red grass. The morning sun made his shadow long behind him. He looked old and tired and very small. But he also looked like something else. Something she had seen in him all her life but never had words for until now. He looked like a man who would fight death itself if he had to. She followed him home. The news spread through New Bizen colony like fire through dry grass. A dragon. A living Valkyrie. Here, in the veterinarian's clinic. People gathered in the streets, talking in worried voices. Some were angry. Some were afraid. Some wanted the creature killed immediately. Others wanted to wait and see what would happen. Colony Director Beek Soo-jin arrived at Taiho's clinic before noon. She was a tall woman with gray hair and cold eyes. She had been a soldier before she became a leader. She had fought in the war against the Valkyrie. She had lost her sister when they burned the Kyoto station. She did not like dragons. 4 armed guards followed her through the clinic door. They raised their weapons when they saw the creature lying on the operating table. It was small, yes, smaller than they expected. But it was still a dragon. It still had claws and teeth. It could still kill them all if it woke up. "You cannot be serious," Soo-jin said to Taiho. The old veterinarian did not look up from his work. He was studying the scans on his computer, trying to understand the strange biology of the creature in front of him. 3 hearts, 2 lungs, organs he had never seen before. A body built for things humans could only dream of. "The mother died an hour ago," he said. "She flew for days to reach us. She chose us. She chose me. The Valkyrie burned the Kyoto station." Soo-jin's voice was like ice. 12,000 people died in one night. My sister was one of them, and this cub did none of that. Taiho finally looked at her. His eyes were tired but steady. "It is a child, Director. A baby. It is dying. And I am a doctor. You are a veterinarian. You heal animals. Yes, and right now, this animal needs healing." Yuna stepped forward from the corner where she had been watching. She had spent the morning searching through old files and records, trying to find anything that might help her father understand Valkyrie biology. "The mother could have gone anywhere," she said. "The Valkyrie have medicine far better than ours. Their technology is more advanced. They could have healed this cub easily. But she came here. To humans. To us." She paused. "Do you not want to know why?" Soo-jin was quiet for a long moment. She looked at the small dragon on the table. Its pale scales rose and fell with each weak breath. It looked fragile, helpless, nothing like the monsters from the war stories. "You have 72 hours, she said finally. "Then the council will decide what to do with it. If it dies before then, the problem solves itself. If it lives—" She shook her head. "We will deal with that when it happens." She turned and walked out. The guards followed her, though they kept looking back at the dragon with nervous eyes. When they were gone, Yuna let out a long breath. "That went better than I expected. It is not over yet." Taiho was already back at work, studying his scans. "The cub is getting worse. Something is poisoning it from the inside. Not just the crash. Something else. Something I do not understand." He pulled up more images on his screen. The cub's blood was wrong. There was something in it, something that was slowly destroying its organs. It looked almost like radiation, but not quite. It was designed, made on purpose. "Someone tried to kill this cub," Taiho said slowly. "Not with weapons. With poison. Someone wanted this child dead. Who would do that? I do not know. But it does not matter right now. What matters is stopping the poison." He looked at his daughter. "I need information. Everything you can find about Velthari bodies. Medical texts. War records. Anything. That information is classified. The military locked it away after the war. Then unlock it." Yuna stared at her father. He had never asked her to break rules before. He was a quiet man, a simple man who healed animals and stayed out of trouble. But something had changed in him since he carried the dragon cub home. "I will see what I can do," she said. She spent the rest of the day calling people she knew, hacking into databases she was not supposed to touch, bribing officials with promises she might not be able to keep. By evening, she had gathered a small collection of files. Autopsy reports from dead Velthari, studies of their blood and bones, notes from military doctors who had treated human soldiers burned by dragonfire. It was not much, but it was something. Taiho read through everything twice. He made notes. He drew diagrams. He compared Velthari biology to the animals he knew. There were similarities. Different, yes, but not impossible to understand. Hearts were hearts. Blood was blood. Life was life, no matter what shape it took. "I think I can do this," he said around midnight. "I think I can save it. You think?" "That is all I have right now. Hope and guessing." He smiled, but it was a tired smile. "It is enough. It has to be enough." He worked through the night. Yuna brought him food that he did not eat and coffee that he drank too fast. She watched him move around the small dragon, checking its breathing, adjusting the machines, talking to it in a soft voice like he talked to all his patients. "You will be okay," he told the cub. "I know you are scared. I know you hurt. But I will not let you die. I promise." The cub did not respond. It was too weak to open its eyes. But Taiho kept talking anyway. He believed that sick creatures could hear kindness, even when they could not see it. He believed that gentle words could heal as much as medicine. Outside the clinic, the colony slept uneasily. Guards patrolled the streets. People locked their doors. Everyone waited for something to happen. And in a small room full of blinking machines and soft light, an old man fought to save a creature that his entire species had learned to hate. He did not know if he would succeed, but he would try. The warship appeared on the fourth day. It came out of nowhere, dropping from faster-than-light travel right into orbit above the colony. It was massive, bigger than anything humans had ever built. A Velthari dreadnought, covered in weapons that could burn cities to ash. It hung in the sky like a dark cloud, blocking out the sun. The message came through on every screen, every radio, every communication device in the colony. Return the hatchling of House Vareth. Refuse, and your colony burns. The voice was cold and ancient. It promised death without emotion, like a storm promising rain. There was no anger in it, just certainty. 6 hours. That was the time they gave. Director Beek Sujin called an emergency meeting of the Colony Council. They gathered in the main building, arguing in loud voices that could be heard through the walls. Some wanted to give up the cub immediately. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to run. Taeho was not invited to the meeting, but he heard about it from Yuna, who stood outside the door and listened. They are going to give Ember to the Velthory, she told her father. They say it is the only way to save the colony. Taeho looked at the cub sleeping on the table. Ember was doing better now. The poison was almost gone. The hearts were beating strong. In a few more days, the little dragon might even open its eyes. The cub cannot be moved, Taeho said. It is still too weak. Moving it now could kill it. They do not care about that. I know. Taeho was quiet for a moment. I need to talk to them. To the council? To the Velthory? Yuna stared at her father like he had lost his mind. The Velthory? They want to destroy us. They hate humans. Maybe, but a mother came to me for help. That means something. Maybe there is one of them who will listen. He went to the council meeting and pushed through the door before anyone could stop him. The room fell silent. Every eye turned to look at the old veterinarian in his dirty coat, still stained with silver dragon blood. Let me talk to them, he said to Director Sujin. You? Talk to the Velthory? She laughed, but there was no humor in it. You are a healer of animals. What could you possibly say to a warlord? I do not know yet, but I am the one the mother chose. I am the one who saved the cub. If anyone has a right to speak for that child, it is me. The council argued about this for half an hour. Some thought it was crazy. Some thought it might work. In the end, Sujin agreed, mostly because they had no better ideas. 1 hour later, Taeho stood in front of a large screen in the communications center. His daughter stood beside him, refusing to let him face this alone. The screen flickered. Then a face appeared. It was the most ancient Velthory Taeho had ever seen. Scars covered its scaled face like a map of 100 battles. Its eyes were like gold coins, old and cold and hard. It wore armor decorated with symbols that Taeho did not understand but knew meant power. I am the warlord of the 5th Fleet, the creature said. You have something that belongs to House Vareth. The mother brought her cub to me, Taeho replied. His voice was steady, though his heart was pounding. She asked for my help. She flew across the stars, dying, to put her child in my hands. You are lying. The warlord's voice was flat. No Velthory would trust a human with a hatchling. And yet she did. She lowered her head to me. She pushed her baby toward me with her own claws. She died believing I would save her child. Taeho paused. I am trying to keep that promise. There was silence. The warlord's golden eyes narrowed. Something changed in that ancient face. Something Taeho could not read. You are healing it? I am trying. Someone poisoned the cub. Not an accident. The poison was designed to kill slowly, to make it suffer. Your enemies, I think. They wanted this child dead. Impossible. Our physicians would have detected such poison. Your physicians might have missed it because it was designed to hide from Velthory medicine. I found it because I am human. I do things differently. I look for different signs. Taeho took a breath. I saved the cub 3 nights ago. Its heart stopped. All 3 of them. I cut open its chest and squeezed its heart with my bare hands for almost an hour until it started beating again. The warlord said nothing, but something in its eyes shifted. Surprise, maybe, or disbelief. Why would you do such a thing? It asked finally. We are enemies. We have burned your colonies. We have killed your kind by the thousands. Why would you fight to save one of ours? Taeho thought about this question. He had asked himself the same thing many times over the past 4 days. "Because I am a doctor," he said simply. "I heal the sick. I help the suffering. I do not ask if a creature is friend or enemy. I only ask if it needs help." And this child needed help. That is not enough. There must be more. There is. Taiho met the warlord's eyes. The mother trusted me. She could have gone anywhere in the galaxy. She could have found Velthari doctors who know your bodies far better than I ever will. But she came here. She came to humans. She came to me. His voice grew stronger. She made a choice. She believed that a human would save her child when no one else could. I will not prove her wrong. I will not let her trust be wasted. The warlord was still for a long moment. The great ship hung silent in orbit. The whole colony held its breath. Then the ancient dragon spoke again, and its voice was different now. Softer, almost broken. "The mother was my daughter," it said. "Ember is my grandchild." I did not know. I did not believe she would ever. It stopped, looked away from the screen. When it spoke again, there was something in its voice that sounded almost like pain. "I will come to you, alone. I would see this human who held my grandchild's heart in his hands." The screen went dark. Yuna grabbed her father's arm. What just happened? Taiho was shaking now that the call was over. "I do not know, but I think I might have found someone willing to listen." Outside, the great warship hung silent in the sky, waiting. 3 days passed without sleep. Taiho lived in his clinic now. He did not go home. He did not rest. He barely ate. He just worked, hour after hour, fighting a battle against an enemy he could not see. The poison in the cub's blood was clever. It hid from medicine. It changed shape when he tried to attack it. It was designed by someone who understood Velthari bodies very well. Someone who wanted this child to die slowly and painfully. But Taiho was clever too. He learned the cub's name on the 2nd day. Yuna had found a way to listen to Velthari communications, signals bouncing between their ships somewhere far out in space. They were talking about a missing child from a noble house. A child whose name, when translated into human words, meant something like small fire or little flame. Taiho called the cub Ember. "Hold on, Ember," he whispered as he worked. "Just hold on a little longer." He tried everything he knew. He used medicines meant for earth animals and changed them to work in Velthari blood. He invented new treatments based on guesses and hopes. He failed many times. Each failure meant watching Ember get a little weaker, a little closer to death. Yuna helped as much as she could. She brought her father information from the databases she had hacked. She contacted scientists on other colonies, asking questions about radiation and poison and alien biology. She slept in short bursts on the floor of the clinic, waking up whenever a machine beeped too loud. On the 3rd night, everything went wrong. Taiho was checking Ember's hearts when the first one stopped. Then the 2nd. Then the 3rd. All 3 hearts, silent and still. The machine screamed with alarm sounds. Red lights flashed. Yuna jumped up from her sleeping spot on the floor. "What is happening?" she shouted. The hearts stopped. Taiho was already moving, grabbing tools, pushing buttons. "Help me. Hold this here." He had never done this before. He had never tried to restart a Velthari heart. He did not know if it was even possible. But he had to try. He could not just watch Ember die. He pressed his hands against the cub's chest and pushed. The scales were hard under his palms. The body was cold. He pushed again and again, trying to force the hearts to beat. Nothing happened. He grabbed a machine that made electric shocks and placed it against Ember's body. He pressed the button. The cub's body jumped. The hearts stayed still. He tried again. Nothing. "Father," Yuna said quietly. Her eyes were wet. Maybe we should. No. Taiho's voice was sharp. No, I promised. I promised the mother. I will not stop. He looked at the cub's chest. He could see where the hearts were through the pale scales. 3 hearts arranged in a triangle, all of them silent. He made a decision. Give me the cutting tool, he said. What are you going to do? Something stupid. He cut open the cub's chest. Silver blood spilled out, covering his hands and arms. He did not stop. He reached inside, past organs he did not recognize, until his fingers found one of the hearts. It was the size of his fist, cold. Still, he squeezed it. Nothing. He squeezed again. And again. And again. 1 squeeze every second, trying to pump blood through the cub's body by hand. Father, you cannot do this forever, Yuna said. I can do it long enough. His arms were already aching. His back was screaming with pain. But he kept squeezing. Find me something, anything, a drug, a shock, something to wake these hearts up. Yuna ran to the medicine cabinet. She grabbed bottles and read labels. Most of them were useless. Made for earth animals. Wrong for Velthari blood. Then she saw something. A small bottle in the back. A stimulant meant for large animals, things like elephants and whales. Too strong for most creatures. Dangerous. But maybe dangerous was what they needed. This might kill it, she said, showing her father the bottle. It is already dead if we do nothing. Taiho was breathing hard. His hands were cramping. Do it. Yuna filled a needle with the medicine. She found a vein in Ember's neck and pushed the liquid in. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the heart under Taiho's hand twitched. He squeezed again. The heart twitched again. And then, slowly, wonderfully, impossibly, it started beating on its own. 1 heart. Then 2. Then 3. The machine stopped screaming. The red lights turned green. Ember's chest began to rise and fall again, soft breaths filling the small body with air. Taiho pulled his hands out of the cub's chest. They were covered in silver blood up to his elbows. He was shaking so hard he could barely stand. Close the wound, he told Yuna. His voice was just a whisper now. Quickly, before infection sets in. Yuna worked as fast as she could. Her hands were shaking too, but she made careful stitches, closing the cut her father had made. When she was done, she looked at the monitors. Heart rate steady. Breathing normal. The poison was still there, but it was weaker now, losing its fight. Ember was alive. Taiho slid down the wall until he was sitting on the floor. His bloody hands hung at his sides. Tears were running down his face, cutting lines through the silver stains on his cheeks. 47 minutes, Yuna said softly. She was crying too. You kept a dead creature alive with your bare hands for 47 minutes. It was not dead. Taiho closed his eyes. It was just waiting for someone to refuse to give up. He sat there for a long time, too tired to move. The machines beeped softly around him. The cub breathed peacefully on the table. And somewhere far away, a fleet of Velthari warships was already turning toward the colony. But Taiho did not know that yet. For now, there was only this moment. This small victory. This child who had been dead and was now alive. He had won the first battle. The war was just beginning. The warlord came alone. A small shuttle dropped from the great warship and landed outside the colony gates. The guards raised their weapons, their hands shaking, but they did not fire. They had been ordered to let the dragon pass. The warlord was even larger in person than on the screen. Nearly 4 meters tall, covered in dark green scales that had faded with age. Its wings were folded against its back like a great cloak. It walked slowly through the streets of the human colony, and everyone who saw it pressed themselves against the walls and held their breath. Taiho waited at the door of his clinic. He was tired. 4 days without real sleep had left dark circles under his eyes and a tremor in his hands. But he stood straight and did not look away as the ancient dragon approached. "You are smaller than I expected," the warlord said. Its voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Most humans are," Taiho replied. "Please, come inside." The clinic was too small for a creature so large. The warlord had to duck its head and fold its wings tight to fit through the door. But it moved carefully, touching nothing, disturbing nothing. It stopped when it saw the cub lying on the operating table. Ember was sleeping peacefully now. The pale scales had more color in them, a soft shimmer of silver and white. The 3 hearts beat in steady rhythm. The machines hummed with good readings. "The poison is almost gone," Taiho explained. "Another few days and the cub should be strong enough to wake up fully. Maybe strong enough to travel, if you are careful." The warlord did not respond right away. It just stood there, looking at its grandchild, and something in its ancient face seemed to crack. "The poison was Crithian," it said finally. "A rival house. They have wanted to end my bloodline for centuries. They must have reached my daughter's ship before she fled." It turned to look at Taiho. "Our own physicians would have failed. The Crithian toxin was designed to hide from Velthari medicine. But your approach, you treated the symptoms without understanding the cause. Crude, primitive." It paused. "Brilliant. I did not know what I was doing," Taiho admitted. "I just tried things. When one thing failed, I tried something else. When Ember died, I refused to accept it. That is all. That is all." The warlord made a strange sound, almost like a laugh but sadder. "You say that as if it is nothing, as if any being would do the same, would they not?" The warlord was quiet for a long moment. It moved closer to the table where Ember lay and touched the small dragon gently with one massive claw. "We would not," it said. "When something is dying, we let it die. We honor death as a natural thing. We accept the will of fate." It looked at Taiho with those ancient golden eyes. "But you humans, you do not accept anything. You fight against the universe itself. You look at death and say, no. You refuse to surrender, even when all logic says you have lost. Is that so strange? To us, yes, we are old. We have lived among the stars for 100,000 years. We have seen species rise and fall. We have learned that fighting against fate is foolish. That acceptance is wisdom." The warlord shook its great head slowly. "But your species is young. You have not learned to accept anything yet. And so you do impossible things because you do not know they are impossible." Taiho thought about this. He thought about all the nights he had stayed awake with dying animals, refusing to give up. He thought about the 47 minutes he had spent with his hands inside Ember's chest, squeezing a heart that had stopped beating. "Maybe that is our gift," he said. "We are too stubborn to know when to quit." "Yes," the warlord's voice was soft now. "Perhaps that is exactly it." Ember stirred on the table. Small silver eyes opened, looking around the room with confusion. The cub saw the warlord first and made a small sound of recognition. Then it saw Taiho and made a different sound, softer, warmer. "It knows you," the warlord said. There was wonder in its voice. "It knows who saved its life. I only did what any doctor would do. No, you did what a human would do. And that, I think, is something different." The warlord straightened to its full height, nearly touching the ceiling of the small clinic. It looked at Taiho for a long moment, and then it did something that no Velthari had ever done in recorded history. It bowed. The ancient warlord of the Fifth Fleet, commander of 1,000 warriors. Proud noble of a race that had ruled the stars since before humans could write. Bowed to a veterinarian in a small colony on the edge of nowhere. My daughter chose to trust humanity with her child's life, it said. I do not understand why. Our kinds have been enemies since you first left your world. We have killed each other, hated each other, feared each other. It rose from its bow and met Taiho's eyes. But here, in this small room, something has changed. My grandchild lives because a human refused to let it die. My daughter's last wish was honored by the hands of an enemy. I was never your enemy, Taiho said quietly. I am just a doctor. Yes, that is what makes this so remarkable. The warlord placed a massive clawed hand on Taiho's shoulder. The touch was gentle, impossibly gentle for something so large. You are Ember's second mother now, in our tradition. The one who gave it life a second time. You will always have a place of honor in House of Earth. What happens now? The warlord looked at Ember, then at Taiho, then out the window at the sky where its warship waited. Now, perhaps we learn something new. The war between our kinds is not over. The hatred is still there. But seeds can be planted even in burned ground. It turned toward the door. I will return in 5 days to take Ember home. Until then, I leave my grandchild in your care. There is no one in the galaxy I trust more with this task. It ducked through the door and walked out into the street. The colony people watched in amazement as the great dragon passed by without violence, without fire, without destruction. At the edge of the colony, the warlord stopped and looked back. Its eyes found Taiho standing in the doorway of his clinic, and it raised one clawed hand in what might have been a salute. Then, it climbed into its shuttle and rose into the sky, leaving behind a world that had been changed forever. Yuna came to stand beside her father. Together, they watched the shuttle disappear into the clouds. What do we do now? She asked. Taiho smiled tiredly. What we always do. We heal. We hope. We try to be a little better than we were yesterday. Behind them, Ember made a soft sound from the operating table. A sound that might have been a laugh, or might have been a purr, or might have been something that had no name in any language. The sound of a child who had been saved by the stubborn love of a stranger. In the days that followed, the story spread. It traveled from colony to colony, world to world, species to species. The tale of the human doctor who held a dragon's heart in his hands and refused to let it stop beating. Some said it was just a story, a myth, something too good to be true. But others knew better. Others understood what it meant. It meant that humans were strange creatures, small and weak and short-lived. They had no claws, no fire, no armor. They should have been nothing in a universe full of giants. But they had something else. Something that made them different from all the ancient races that came before. They had hope. They had stubbornness. They had the foolish, beautiful belief that things could be better if they just tried hard enough. And sometimes, impossibly, wonderfully, against all logic and all wisdom, they were right. That is what humans do. That is why the universe should pay attention.